Welcome to the Popping Popcorn Podcast. Wait.
Yeah, I'm Brayden.
I'm Devin.
And then...
Otherwise known as Triple P. We talk about the stuff nobody else talks about. I almost forgot that part.
But you're not Devin known as Triple P. The podcast is known as Triple P. You're just Devin known as Devin.
Known as Triple P.
We gotta clarify that.
Anyway. Yes. Today, we don't really have a special guest, but more of a new introduction to the podcast. Our techie girl, Jenny.
Jenny.
Say hi, Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
All right, okay.
Well, let's go off of that.
So yeah, she'll just be there, but that's okay. We don't
Hi,
gotta worry
Jenny.
about
Okay.
it.
We don't like her, but she has to be here.
All right, let's just get into it. We got new lights. Everything's
We're
getting better. It's getting better.
We're
by
starting
the
this as a real podcast. We're going to eventually get sound foam boards behind us. We have new lights. We just started this new segment called 5-Minute Podcast.
It's on Instagram TV, right? That's
Yeah. It's like IGTV, Instagram
IGTV?
TV. I don't know. I think you can, like, on Instagram, when you're on, like, the search page, how you can click on some of those videos and they're, like, full screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that is.
It's
That's
a
where we
5-minute
are.
podcast, and it's not a 5-minute clip of our podcast. It's a totally new
It's
thing.
totally new. So if
make
you
sure
want to
you
see
check it
more new content of us, that's where we're going to be.
So go check it out.
What was the podcast we talked about? We talked about, like, space and how Devin loves space.
Yeah. I love space.
You want to talk about that more now?
Space. Yeah. I'm always down to talk about
He's always down to talk about space. Okay. All right. So here's an existential question that I'm sure has been asked before by more professional people than us.
What?
Do you believe in aliens?
Oh, yeah.
Or, like, extraterrestrial life?
Oh, yeah. I don't remember. Did we, like, go into this a lot during the Instagram TV? Or was it, like, did we just kind of brush over it? Go watch the episode to find out.
I think we'll have to watch the episode to find out.
True. Okay, well,
Honestly.
anyway.
No, we're good, though. I think, I don't know. I know we talked about your alien scenario.
Yeah.
Because you got mad when I tried to take that over
Right.
and ask you the question.
Yeah.
So he had to ask me the question.
Let's go over it real quick for the people who haven't watched it. Real quick. So, if you were, like, asleep in the night or something, or just any time, and an alien comes up to your door.
Anytime. So I'm sleeping during the day because I have no job.
You don't have to
This is
be
how
sleeping.
bad I am.
I meant anytime, as in, like, you don't have to be sleeping.
But
Anyway, so an alien comes up to you and he's like, hey, I need a human being to come with me, and we're just going to explore space, and you're going to see everything that's out there. But you can't say bye to anybody. Like, you can't say bye to anybody on Earth, and you can never come back to Earth. Would you do it?
I was watching the podcast before I was uploading it, 5-minute, and then you know what that reminded me of? Okay, remember 8th grade? Me and Devin, we've known each other for plenty of years. But remember 8th grade math with Miss Dallin? Remember Dallin? Remember that?
Sucked.
That's not the point though. The point is, remember that one that first, like, she used to have us do, like, Doctor Who episodes. She used to make us watch, like, Doctor Who episodes during class.
Yeah,
remember?
or, like, she really liked Doctor
Yeah,
Who.
so, like, the Doctor Who, and I always remember that, and there was, like, so I went back and I watched that first one, and it's, like, pretty much that same thing. So it's, like, alien guy who looks like a human. He asked this, like, girl, he's like, you want to travel space and time with me?
Really?
But, like, since he has, like, a time machine, he can, like, come back to, like, 12 seconds after they left. And then he's just like, boom, you never really left. So I guess, like, in that scenario, she never had to choose to leave home. But it just makes you wonder.
Yeah, but I mean,
what
like,
if
that's
you
a
did
time
have to
machine,
choose to leave home?
Not like...
Do time machines exist? Do you think time machines could happen?
I
mean, time and space, that's sort of related, isn't it? Like, traveling light speed, you can travel the speed of light.
People
and
always
time
have, like, theories that, like, the further you travel into space, you're actually going back in time. And it's always, like, it's always, like, a cool thing to think about,
Well,
and
it's like...
Okay, what?
No, okay, I'm just gonna cut you off right there.
That's fine.
It's like, there's, like, the things where it's like, okay, if I travel light speed for 30 seconds, for me for 30 seconds, that's going to be totally different for you, because, like, when I come back down, it'll be, like, a good year plus, because that's just how fast I'm going, so time slows down for me compared to you, right?
I mean...
Well, or it's like, when you look at the stars, suns,
That's what I was gonna say.
the things out in the sky that shine at night, when you look at them and they're like, scientists say they're like 100,000 light years away, that star is pretty much dead by now, but the light still is traveling. It's like
Yeah,
how our sun takes like what
8 minutes.
Eight-
So we're
Jenny, do you
always
know this?
looking. Whenever we look into at the night sky, we're always looking into the past,
Into
like
the
the
past.
past night sky, like millions, billions, and trillions of cotillion. No, I don't know.
of Cotillion. Whoa,
like-
that's a big number, Devin. Hold
No, but,
on.
like, millions of years ago, because it takes light, time to travel to us, right? And like even just me and Brayden right next to each other, I'm never seeing Brayden in the present. I'm always seeing the past of him.
But that's
Because
like
the light is
point
coming
zero
off of him.
zero zero
Exactly.
zero zero zero
But
zero zero
it's
zero
such a small-
1 millisecond.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a small number, but it's still not right as soon
Did you
as
ever
we
watch
get there.
Brain Games?
Yeah. But it's always like, okay, hold on. Yes, I watch Brain Games. But you're always looking into the past, like no matter what.
Yeah, no. So
matter how
on
close
that, there was this one where like seeing isn't always believing, and there's like, there's like if you're going 80 miles an hour, and then every second, like if you blink, like you're pretty much missing like a good like 100 feet because you're just blinking because you can't
they're going
see
so fast.
because you're going that fast. So it just makes me wonder if I'm going light speed. And like I sneeze because I'm looking at the light, and shoo, how many years was that just barely lost, or you lost, I should say.
Yeah.
Or it's like, oh, what's that one movie? Interstellar.
My favorite, bro. It's like my favorite.
We're
movie.
like
I love
on
that
the
movie.
same wavelength right now.
Oh, I love
Interstellar,
that
yeah,
movie.
right?
It's so good.
There was
And there, it's like 1 minute on this planet will be like 10 years.
No.
on Earth or something.
I was reading
How does it
this.
go?
I was reading this one fact, and so it's like if you listen to that one planet with the water, it's like every 1.25 seconds you can hear like a tick, and that supposedly is like 1 day gone by, and like
Oh really?
so it's
That's
like
so crazy.
tick, 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 like every like 1 second is apparently, or is it 1 day or is it 1 year?
Either one, I don't know.
Maybe it's something.
It's
like
just
that.
it's so crazy because it's like everything about that movie. You have
This
to
is so
watch it like
bad.
multiple times to really get it all.
To understand
I'm not
it.
trying to fanboy over this movie,
I
but
think
like
he
I
is.
love it because when they go on the planet and then they come back to the spaceship.
That old guy.
The spaceship. The guy was their age, but when they got back on the spaceship, he was like way older. He's like, it took you guys way too long on that planet.
Here's the thing with that is, so when we're looking at it in that kind of perspective, you have like farther in the movie they talk about like that fifth dimension or whatever, right, where he's like in time and technically, but it's like wouldn't
so cool.
time
It's
be
so cool.
the like, because you have first dimension, which would just be a dot, and then the second dimension, which is a line. Third dimension is 3D. That's the kind of dimension we live in. Wouldn't fourth dimension also be the dimension we live in, as in the fourth dimension is time? Like,
I
think
don't know.
about it. In 3 dimensions, we can move up, down, left, right, forward, and backwards. That's the
Yeah.
3 dimensions.
The dim-
But don't we also move along the progression line of time in a straight linear concept through our consciousness? Like, not really...
Yeah.
That we can't really go backwards in time yet. And that's the thing, is I was like looking at it and they're like, we could definitely go forward in time, and that's doing light speed or going
Yeah.
to a planet where 1 second is
Or just sleeping.
however long.
Right though?
I mean,
All of a sudden it's the next morning.
no,
It's
when
like,
I sleep at school, it's like I swear I sleep for like, a good, 10 minutes, and it's still, 1:32, and you're like, what the crap?
it's
you
the
know?
opposite for me.
Yeah.
I'll lay down and I'll be like, I'll like open my eyes and I was like, oh, I must have been like closing my eyes for like 2 seconds or something, and then the bell rings and I'm like, wait, it's been 30 minutes. Like, it always wonders, like, were people just watching me sleep? Like, I didn't realize I was sleeping for this
I think
long.
I don't care. I'm like, you want to watch me sleep, you want to be creepy, you can be creepy.
Yeah.
No, but back on that time, it's like time is like the fourth dimension, because we move along it, but we can't move back. And they're like, we can technically move forward in time if we travel light speed, or if we happen to find a planet where time goes faster over there because the gravitational pull is higher than up in a spaceship like Interstellar. But here's the thing with that, is scientists are saying we can never go back in time to the dinosaurs, just because there's no way. I mean, like, there's things where they're like, oh, I'm going to geek out right now because I'm a science. And I love this kind of stuff.
I'm
so
a
it's
science.
Like,
Are you sure about that, Brayden?
No, so
You're a
it's
science?
like scientists are like, okay, if we can create like an Einsteinian bridge loop, right? and we have one right now, and then say in the future we build another one. Technically, we could go through both of them as in a singular progression point of time.
Okay.
But the problem with that is we don't have an Einsteinian bridge loop back during the dinosaur era.
Well,
So
yeah.
there would be no way we can ever go back to the dinosaur era.
Okay, I see that. I feel like to say time is like a part of the fourth dimension, I don't really see that. Because I feel like,
What is the fourth dimension then?
hold on, I feel like, you know, the third, the fourth, all those dimensions are like their own thing. I feel like time is a separate thing.
Time and space is not like parted together.
But
Like that's
I
why
don't,
an
I don't feel
Einsteinian
like
bridge
it's
or
a
a
part
black
of the
hole
dimension.
or a theoretical white hole for that matter.
Yeah. But I,
Dark matter? Ooh.
okay, well, but I just feel like, I don't feel like time is
You don't
part of the fourth dimension, because they explain the fourth dimension as like, you know, a third dimensional object casts a two-dimensional shadow, right? And
Right.
a four-dimensional object would cast a three-dimensional shadow.
But here's-
However that would look, we can't comprehend it.
That's what I'm
because we
saying.
don't-
Is a four-dimensional object would be the straight progression linear of time, but time isn't a straight progression.
Yeah.
It's up and down and all around. Like 1 second for me is technically 1.925 seconds for you. I don't know,
Okay.
crazy numbers. But that's the thing, is the only thing constant in the whole entire universe would be time, and that's because the speed of light. And that's the only thing is light. I mean, when you look at it, light's really weird because like of photons, and you know, it's technically a particle, but it's technically a wave, and you know, all that other stuff we could get into.
It's pretty crazy.
But back on wow,
Louise.
space. Okay, wow, science. This is what we're doing now.
Yeah, we were talking about space.
We're talking about space, weren't we?
Go watch
Okay.
Interstellar. That's all I
Wow,
gotta say.
we got so sidetracked. Okay,
We really did.
aliens. Yes or no?
Oh yeah, aliens. You know, yes, I think yes. You know, yeah, you'd have to be stupid if you think aliens don't exist.
Right. Well, it's like when you look at it, we're in one universe with like 100 galaxies, with like 100,000 planets, and out of those planets, there's like this like weird equation that someone came up with, where it's like technically, I don't know. I'll find the equation.
The universe is
But
infinite.
there's, like,
there
like,
is
a
no end.
That's the thing. It's like, so back when Stephen Hawking came up with that idea of like the Big Bang, where we started at one point and now the universe is expanding, scientists originally thought, okay, if that's the case, we must be slowing down to expansion back into that gravitational collapse, because everything that goes out must go in, up must go down, right?
Mhm.
But they were doing research, and I read this like like a few years ago in 2016, 15, 14, 13. A few years ago,
Yeah.
they found out that if anything, the universe right now is increasing its speed of an expansion. So whatever is expanding us is still having an active toll, but we don't know what that is.
It's
we
still
don't,
expanding.
We can't understand the universe.
Exactly. I have this theory that was like a shower thought.
Shower
into
thoughts
it.
are the best.
I'll get into it in a second. You just gotta remind me. But what I wanted to say was I was in astronomy class, and what I learned, like back in like 300 BC, like people were
That was
wondering.
before Christ.
People, they were wondering like all about the universe and stuff. And
Isn't that like what Plato and like all those Greek philosophers came up with, kind of a thing?
Yeah, like Galileo and all
Galileo.
Anyway, sorry.
Some
So
Bohemian.
one of the theories that I saw, or not theories, but I guess mindsets that I saw, that was pretty
Philosophies.
that was
Philosophies.
pretty interesting to me, was if you shot like an infinite arrow that could just travel like infinitely, and it would like travel through space, would it stop? And then like people were like, oh yeah, it'd stop at like a point where it hits a wall, right? Then you'd
wall.
stand on top of the
Trump's
wall.
ball.
And then shoot it again. But it's like when people say like the universe ends, how does it end? Does it end with just a wall? Because if it ends at the wall, then you stand on top of that wall and fire another arrow, and then if it hits another wall, you stand on top of the
Okay.
wall and fire another
Okay,
arrow.
I wanna
Because it's just infinite, no matter.
I want to
what.
hop on top of this real fast.
When does it stop?
So it's like, okay, remember like the whole thing when it was like Christopher Columbus and all those people used to believe the Earth was flat. Well, technically around that time, people still thought the Earth could be flat, but for the most part, it was proven that the Earth was more of a sphere shape
people,
before that, right?
People were discovering that the Earth was a sphere back in those like BC.
But
times,
here's the
like,
thing with that.
way
Here's the
back
thing. It's like right now the kind of progression mindset we're in. Hi Jenny, say hi.
Hi.
We just need to acknowledge Jenny.
She was checking the camera. It's good, right?
Okay. No, but what are we saying? No, so but it's like right now in the kind of mindset we're in, isn't it like the universe isn't flat? What if the universe is this kind of growing progression kind of a sphere?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're right here on the sphere that just happens to keep growing, and eventually we'll be so far from the center. But that's the thing, is like scientists are saying that whatever force is outpulling us is still having an active toll. So
yeah, because we're still expanding.
right, maybe, and that's the thing. It's like
the dogs.
the dogs. They love Jenny. Jenny's such an animal person.
She really is.
I know, aren't you, Jenny? You're so kind. The dogs are loving her. Okay.
Anyway.
No, but so going on to that whole space thing, it's like if we find.
Okay, hold on.
Shower thought.
Kai, Roscoe.
Okay, sorry about that. We just had a little tech incident.
We had some
Jenny.
technical difficulties. Watch the YouTube video if you want to see bloopers at the end. Okay, so what were we talking about?
The sphere, the
sphere.
sphere, the sphere of growing progression. But when you're looking at, I just want to change topics real fast. If we're talking about aliens, what do you classify as like what if they're higher intelligence? What if they're lower like what if they're like almost
an
like
alien
apes kind of a thing,
Yeah.
but they're like not apes. They're like little goblin things that are like, and they have
Yeah.
like, or would you even classify a single cell microorganism living in a pond on a Kepler 859,
Yeah.
whatever Kepler planet that has that can support life? Would you classify that as since it's technically life outside of Earth? Would you I mean, it's not intelligent, but it's technically life.
Yeah, no. The problem with people saying that
Technically.
they don't believe in aliens is like, well, they always imagine it as little green men with like big heads and stuff. And
That's a
obviously-
Martian.
Yeah, and obviously that is possible,
I mean,
but alien is just anything that's not from Earth. Life, anything that's not from
okay,
Earth.
but do you think we've already been visited by aliens?
Oh yeah. Or I don't know. I just
I
there's
say
so many
I-
UFOs.
I am so down with yes. I
Yeah.
am so down with yes. I'm not believing on the UFOs nowadays, especially with. I mean, that's the thing. Is if like we had like a
It's
massive.
so easy to fake nowadays.
Well, that's the thing. Is like if we had like a massive like power outage, all like right, like a big EMP kind of a blast, and that would be totally different though because you would have multiple account witnesses rather than that one guy who happened to film it on his phone from 2004 with the old iPod thing,
yeah.
which could have been totally photoshopped because it's that bad of quality. So what I'm saying is I don't know about now, but I definitely believe it way back then. Like
Yeah.
the pyramids, they have like
Ancient Aliens,
Ancient-
the TV show. All
really
that stuff.
though,
All that
really,
stuff.
really like there's
It's
this
so
thing.
funny.
I read this thing where it's like the coordinates of the pyramids is like 159. I don't know the number, but then it's like the speed of light in like milliseconds or something is the same exact number, and it's like what's the coincidence that a pyramid built in like what was it 200 BC,
I don't know.
like
Maybe
180? I don't.
later. Probably really long. Yeah.
A long time ago, that pyramids that defy technically anything else that we would have known how to do back then just happens to be the same exact like number scheme compared to how to travel the speed of light.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
aliens
too
had
many
to have
coincidences.
right?
They're crazy. They're crazy.
It's like once is a coincidence, twice is just unlucky, and 3 times something's going on.
Something's going on. And there's 3 pyramids. There's 3 pyramids.
There you go, 3. But
3.
that's the thing. It's like when like scientists are like what the pyramids used to look like instead of this like like old lime like kind of it used to be this like really shiny kind of like lime rock kind of a thing that was polished and everything, and it's just been over the hundreds and hundreds of years that has been weathered down because it's in the desert. So it's like now they
I'm
look
sure
really
people would figure that out by now. That it's not just a rock. That there's like a shiny
but that's the
rock
thing.
underneath
That-
it.
I'm an alien. oh, where do these coordinates? They seem to match up with this. Like the
Okay.
planes happen to match up the same exact way my light speed travels, and there's a triangle shiny thing, and there's like they had to been sending some kind of like signal, like these are peaceful people. These are peaceful people.
Maybe.
Like we can come here. We can help cohabitation, and then. History.
Maybe.
History. We talked about this before. History is just so fascinating to me. I love.
It's all crazy. It's all crazy.
Right. But it's like in our first episode, we talked a little bit about abortion because that was trending on Twitter, and I have another trending tweet we can go on.
How's
to.
it look, Jenny? Is it crooked at all?
Jenny thinks they're crooked.
No.
Alright.
All right, thanks, Jenny.
No, but it's like, what was I saying? I was saying, oh yeah, so we're talking about like baby Hitler and abortion and everything, and it's like history. If you had the chance to kill baby Hitler before you knew what he would become, would you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we already talked about this.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. It's just history and science, and it's just there.
It's all there.
And it's the stuff that nobody really talks about, but we're talking about.
But we're talking about it.
We
because
talk about the
talk about
stuff nobody else talking about.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, we
Aliens.
could go on and
Aliens.
on.
No. I just want to ask you:
Okay, well,
do you believe in like what would you define as an alien?
I already said it. Any
Anything.
any life form that's not on Earth, anywhere else in the universe.
Okay.
But shower thought, like I was gonna
Like
say.
you were gonna say before, yes.
Bear with me
I'm listening.
because obviously all this made sense to me in the shower.
Oh, I'm
So if I'm trying to explain it, just bear with me and listen for a second.
we're
alright?
listening.
Okay. All right. Let me think of how to start this. Right?
Just
So,
start it. Just start
um,
it.
Let's start with okay. So everything in the world, every thing of matter, anything is made of atoms, right? And atoms are so like incredibly small,
Mm-hmm.
and they just make up everything.
Correct.
Right?
No, everything. Yes, you're
Yes,
right.
Everything. Anyway, so it's like I learned this thing where I was like, when you like zoom into an atom or something, there's a lot of space in between like all of the parts of it, right?
The
like,
electrons and the
and
nucleus.
the electrons, nucleus, all this stuff, right?
That's
and
all
it was
the
like
stuff.
it was like this thing where it was like if you put the nucleus to the size of like a penny, then like the electrons would be like 3 football fields away or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, I know
but
that yeah.
there's a ton of space in
Right.
between it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that space, like outer space, there's so much space in between like all of the planets and all of the galaxies and stuff. Like most of space is just blackness. It's just nothingness. That's why we call it space, because there's a ton of empty space up there. Right?
What?
So so it's like everything's so small, like atoms have so much space in between them, and then like we look up at this universe and it's huge, like so huge we can't even comprehend it. So like what if atoms, like the way that they look at what, I know they're not alive, but if they looked at their life and they looked at like everything around them, they think that everything was so huge. And what if space, outer space, our universe is just
An
like
atom.
we're so small that we can't comprehend the bigger thing of our universe. Like,
Well,
what
like-
if it's just some dude taking a shower, right? But we're a part of a bathtub. Okay, not like that, but something crazy like that. And I was just thinking about it, like, whoa,
A bathtub that happens to have rugs in it.
yeah.
We
And
talked
it's
about
all
that.
the universe.
Episode 3.
Our solar system is just the faucet that you turn on. But it was, yeah, shower thought. It made sense.
That makes sense in my head. I mean, I don't know how it feels in your head.
Yeah.
Here's the thing though, is like we can never really touch anything because like the electrons would repel each other. So it's like we're technically never touching anything just because we're always
Just
that far away.
Take it away.
It looks like I'm touching because it is, but I'm not because I can't.
No, I see myself touching myself.
I see myself touching myself. Okay.
Whoa.
Whoa. Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. Wow. Space. I feel like we could go on to this forever, but
But
I have one more thing. So going off of aliens,
okay,
like, okay.
we can't
Bear
talk
with
about
me.
this forever.
Bear with me. So going off of like aliens in
I
space.
feel sorry.
I
I feel
feel-
like this is all this podcast is.
It's
It's just like, bear with us.
We're getting there.
We're trying. Just hold on.
No,
listen.
okay. So it's like aliens in space. What if we change it from like that kind of a scale down to like this kind of a scale where it's like paranormal activity and ghosts.
Okay.
Okay. You see, it sort of lines up.
No. Our next topic is
Let's just
we're
talk
gonna
about.
talk about paranormal activity.
We'll talk about paranormal
and
activity.
all this stuff. And somehow Braden tried to transfer into it.
I mean, it made sense in my head because you have aliens and space, and then when you just do it like that, you have ghosts and
Right.
paranormal activity.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Yes.
Me too.
Like spirits, yes.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I feel that like not everyone can become a ghost, or a spirit for that matter.
Okay.
I feel that it sort of depends on like your soul and who you are and where you're destined to be. Like,
Okay.
I don't want to get into the whole like heaven and hell kind of a thing because that's sort of like religion. We might talk about that next week. Let us know if you do. Give us a thumbs up. Follow us on Instagram. Leave us topics to talk about. Pop_podcast.
Anyway.
Just had to throw that in there. But it's like, no. So, I feel that it's just like, it's sort of just, if you were like brutally murdered, I feel like you would have a reason to come back. Or if you were like in love with someone, you still had a reason to come back.
It's one of those things where it's like your time on Earth isn't done yet.
Yeah, and so your body happened to give up on you, but your spirit, soul, kind of essence
It's still alive. It's still
can still do
Okay.
the things you need.
Yeah.
And but that's the thing is it's like you can't like really like I get it if you're getting really like if someone murdered you. You would get super mad around that person. You can maybe like slam the door, or, you can maybe like push the plants off, and you get some kind of movements. But I feel that for the most part, since they're just like a spirit, soul kind of essence, they're just sort of vibing with the whole entire universe, and so they can just do whatever and go wherever.
Okay.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I've never really thought like how they exist. But,
How
like,
they exist?
I
How do ghosts exist? Let's talk about that.
I feel like we just did.
Just if you die.
If you die, then
No, but
you
really,
become a ghost.
like I
Okay,
feel.
well, okay, what?
You're gonna finish something after that. I
I
know.
don't know. I believe in ghosts. Yes.
You believe in ghosts?
Oh, yeah.
It's just that.
Well, I have some stories, but you go first.
I would love to hear those in a second.
You too.
No, but I just feel that like there's no way that like half the things that happen. Like they just can't.
There's
happen.
some crazy stuff that.
And I mean, like, yeah, some of them can be tricks. Like when you look on YouTube videos and they're like weird security, like it's pretty obvious.
Ghost
they're just-
cut on camera, and it's like some dude in a bed sheet like, running around.
We'll have to. Okay.
Anyway,
No, so what was I saying though? Is I feel like there's just so many things that like paranormal activity has to exist. Now, when we're talking about paranormal, I'm not just saying ghosts. I'm also saying like all those other lores and stories that happen to go with that. Such
Okay.
as like. I guess you could sort of count aliens around that aspect, but I'm not really right now. I'm more focused on like zombies or like those living dead necromancy, witchcraft, voodoo.
yeah.
A lot more of that demons, devils, spirits, zombie, what is it?
Yeah.
Werewolves, vampire, like all those kind of. I feel that like they can't not exist.
Okay.
Like, they have to come from somewhere. I mean, like, it'd be crazy if it was some guy's imagination. Like, some guy's like, a unicorn. And then he's like, and then what if we now have a person who hates the sunlight, who just happens to drink other people's blood and can't eat garlic?
I mean, maybe.
I feel that it's just. I feel that there's just so much lore and history
Stuff
over
around it.
them, right?
Yeah. I mean, if they were a thing, they're definitely not around now, because like we'd have. I mean,
I feel like they could hide themselves.
I don't know. Maybe, but it's like, think about it. Like, I've thought about this thing with Bigfoot, right? Where I used to believe in Bigfoot all the time, and if he does exist, he's just another species of ape, right? And I already said that. But it's
see
like
that.
we find dead people buried in the ground all the time, right? Like we found like these crazy rare things. That
Dead people in the ground?
well,
What?
like Richard III, I learned this in English class, but like Richard III, he's like, this king from England, and they never knew where he died, and then they found his body, and it was like through like all this research that they did, right? And they can do all this research, and they can find all this crazy stuff. How have they not found Bigfoot? Like, I feel like there's definitely some way.
So you're a no
they
on the
can find
Bigfoot believer.
Well, I don't know. It's just like, how many animals have we discovered like all the time?
I
And
get
it's
what
just
you're saying. Well, I was reading on Twitter that apparently they thought that this one mouse was extinct, but it was just one mouse local to Australia. But apparently they found one last mouse.
Yeah.
It happened to die, so now it's extinct. But they just happened to find one last mouse that happened to be of that species.
Yeah.
So they thought it was extinct, and then like 3 years later, this one farmer happened to find this one mouse in his kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, that looks cool. And then it just happened to be the one last one. Okay. And then now it's extinct. But it's
But
crazy.
they found it. And
They
how
found
long
it.
has the legend of Bigfoot been around?
That's
and
the
they
thing.
haven't found it.
That's the thing. It's like people are like, oh, well, what if Bigfoot can be invisible? That's not the original lore, though.
He's
And I mean, like,
invisible.
like that's the thing. I feel that someone would like definitely mention that if it was original lore. And I feel that like we do add on more lore, like vampires hate the sun, or vampires hate the garlic, or and I feel some of it's true, like a wooden spear through the heart. One of my favorite parts of Hotel Transylvania is where when Johnny is talking to Count Drac, and he's like garlic. He goes, yeah, I'm allergic. I'm like, oh, that's he's just allergic, or
Yeah, he's
or-
just
and
allergic
then he's
to it.
like-
Like, there's nothing crazy to it.
right? Or then he's like, I'm gonna wooden stake through the heart. He goes, well, who wouldn't that kill? And
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, that would kill pretty much anybody.
Exactly, right?
Right? And so I feel that there are some lores like that exist that are true, and then there are some that we've just sort of made up, like, oh, they hate the sun.
Like the game of telephone, like it just over
Right, over the
itself.
centuries,
Yeah.
from Transylvania back in the 1500s, or even like the Salem witch trials.
Mhm.
You have, I feel that there's voodoo and witchcraft and
Yeah.
like necromancy, vampires,
All this
werewolves.
stuff.
All that stuff has to exist along with ghosts and paranormal activity.
I mean, okay. I think it's fun to believe in that stuff. And I'm not saying like I don't believe in it. I definitely see it happening. It's just like, I don't know.
I mean, there were
like I
some,
said, it's fun. It's fun.
There are some
why people
creatures
do
that
it.
I would get, okay, yeah, right. I would
Yeah.
sort of have a problem, but it's like werewolves. What if they only turn into a werewolf during like the moon, and then when they die, they're just human? You can never tell. It's just like a blood thing they have, and like it's a disease.
Yeah, maybe. Be cool.
I'm just
Like, where do they come
I'm
up
just-
with this stuff?
right.
But they also come up with like stuff that's like normal, I guess. Like people come up with new stories all the time. It's just how our mind works. It's like you always think, at least I always think, that there's a limit to like what we can imagine, right? But it's not. We always are coming up with new, melodies for songs, new stories,
I could
and
see
all
that.
this stuff.
Yeah, no,
It's weird.
I'm totally
So
down for
maybe
that.
we just made up all this stuff. And
Okay. But like witchcraft, voodoo, that has to exist. That has to exist.
Okay. I mean that's
mean,
what you think.
I do. I personally do. There's so many things that just happen to happen.
Yeah.
That they can't
happen
be
to
explained by
happen.
normal things. And that's the thing. It's like when you're looking at like, we're having so many movie references. Because I'm going to reference like Thor, and there's like, everyone thinks it's just magic, but it's just really highly advanced science. And maybe that's a whole other thing. Maybe it's just like an alien species, and they've like blended into us. And they just look like us, but they just have this like highly advanced science that seems like magic. Like Doctor Strange. It's
Okay.
science, but it looks like magic.
Okay. I see that.
But here's
That'd
the
be
thing.
cool.
It's like ghosts. They have to.
Yeah, we just stopped talking about
We
ghosts.
stopped talking about ghosts.
Started
Onto
talking about
paranormal.
monsters.
But ghosts, they exist. They exist.
You
Spirits.
got any ghost stories?
Personally, I have never experienced a ghost. No.
Really?
But have you?
A couple of times. But
Really?
nothing crazy. Here, you go first.
I mean, like, no, all my stories are like secondhand, so I would be like paraphrasing, and I don't want to take credit for those.
Okay.
I want to hear your ghost stories.
Well, I don't have anything crazy. I know of a lot of crazy ghost
I
stories
want to
that
hear
my
maybe
family
some of
members
those
have had.
after.
Like, my grandma has had crazy stuff, right?
No, but I feel like the longer you're alive, the more chances you'll have to like experience those kind of like ghost aspects, right?
Okay.
Like there's that.
Yeah.
So I feel that like
Yeah, more
when you're,
time to experience it.
when you're like 2, you could have an experience, right? But I'm
But
just
it's,
saying,
it's
when
less
you're,
common.
20, you'll have more chance. And then even when you're like, 50, you'll definitely have that experience and that chance to experience those kind of ghosts,
Mm-hmm.
right? Especially the more you get out. I want to hear some of those. I want to hear some of your personal
Okay. Well,
experiences.
personally, nothing crazy has happened to me. I've just kind of like seen shadows and stuff.
Shadows.
Yeah. One
A
time.
shadow monster.
Shadow monster. No.
The
But
boogeyman.
boogeyman.
No.
So I'd say like one of the most recent ones I have had, and this was probably like when I was 10 or something, which is recent, right? But I was
Which
at my
is
friend's
recent.
house. I was at my friend's house and I was sitting down on the couch watching Incredibles, right? And there was
That's a
like
good
just
movie.
enough light. It was like 2 a.m. or something, but there was just enough light like in the living room to where I could see into the other room. And the other room was like the front door and like a hallway and stuff, right? And then all of a sudden, I see like this shadow come from the front door.
It was the mom.
It was the mom?
Was it not the mom?
Brayden. So this really tall, dark shadow comes from out of the door, like from out of nowhere, right?
Okay.
And it starts like walking towards the living room, and it like walks into the kitchen, and I'm like watching it go by, and it was going by kind of fast, right? And then it like goes over to the left where there was a chandelier, and it goes to the chandelier, and then as soon as it gets to it, like it starts shaking back and like it disappears. The chandelier starts shaking back and forth, and the lights flicker on and on, and then it's just slowly stop. And I was like, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm okay.
So you count that as like as a spirit, then you would count that as a ghost.
Yeah, I mean, what
Like,
else would?
I don't know. It's a shadow monster. Again, a shadow demon.
monster.
It's
Maybe
a
new
devil.
thing.
It's a.
It's a new thing.
I've had experiences with shadow demons. If that's what you're talking about.
The shadow demon.
The
That's
shadow
what you call
demon. No, there's more
Okay.
than one. There has to be more than one.
them. Oh yeah.
Okay, but it's like I could have sworn. So one time I was walking out of Smith's, and it was late at night, and so they had like the parking lights on, right? So I was walking, and I had like my one shadow, and then I had another one. And I'm like, that's perfectly fine because there's like 2 lights, so there's that's perfectly
light
fine,
sources.
right? But then it got to the point where this one shadow was like detached from my body. Like, like whenever like it always has to be connected, like unless you're not touching, then it's sort of floating.
Yeah. But
But
it
it's
just
like
wasn't.
no, I was walking and I just stopped and I stared and it was just like
Were you high?
2 feet in
No,
front
okay.
of me. No, it was just like 2 feet in front of me. It just walked off and I was just like looking at it and it still sort of copied what I was doing. So I was just
Sorry.
like-
I'm sorry.
So then I walked past into the dark and I walked to another one and there was no shadow. But like the same exact like light ways, like there's 2 lights and then there's 2 lights.
Hmm.
And it's
Sounds
like
like it was kind of crazy.
it
like
was
it
I was
creeped you out.
freaky. I was like,
Ah.
cause that's not normal.
Yeah.
So I had a gallon
I'm
of
sure it
milk.
freaked me out.
Right? No.
Get a gallon of milk.
I had a gallon of milk in the one hand. It's like the one hand, but like the shadow didn't have one. So that's why I was like, I wasn't thinking about it because you don't think about your shadow until
Yeah.
you notice it's 2 feet away from you and not connected to you.
Shadows.
And
are
it doesn't hold your
conspiracies
gallon
by
of
the
milk.
government. They're all fake. It's not real.
And you just see that shadow 2 feet away from you, not connected, and
that's
it's not
weird.
holding your gallon of milk.
That's
And then it's just you start freaking out a little bit.
That sounds pretty crazy.
But that's not. I didn't think that's a spirit. That can't be a spirit.
Yeah. I mean, well, something like that. Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm totally down to believe witchcraft, voodoo, vampires, werewolves, all that kind of like paranormal, unknown kind of stuff, like ghosts, spirits, demons, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that like a spirit has more pizzazz. And just like,
Pizzazz.
right, like it can interact, like moving the chandelier. I feel moving the
chandelier.
chandelier or
That was a
knocking
spirit.
over the plants
Yeah.
or turning on and off lights. That's a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just a shadow, I feel that's like shadow monster, shadow demon.
All right. Well, maybe there is a difference. I've never thought of
I-
a shadow monster before. But
Shadow monster.
I mean, it makes sense. But like most of the times when people will see like a shadow or a dark figure, they always say it's a ghost or a spirit, right? Like, because
Okay.
you'll see them in like haunted houses and like actually haunted houses, not just the things you walk through. But yeah, just like people always associate that with that. But like people who, what I think is definitely like ghost spirit is like when they actually see like a person.
a
Or,
person.
like an actual person. Like I've never seen like an actual
yes,
person.
that's
but-
that's what I'm talking about as a ghost. Like when
Yeah.
you can see like the faint outline of someone or something.
Mhm.
That's what I would classify as a real living ghosts or something.
Yeah.
And then but again, why are they back? Why are they in this dimension? They don't belong in this realm.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they have some unfinished business. They have to do something.
Yeah.
Right?
Which I think is pretty interesting. to
I
think
feel that's the only way it would make sense.
about. Yeah.
Where it's like, if you will yourself strong enough to like, I'm not done yet. And then, and like you just pop into like a spirit ghost form.
Yeah. But then maybe you're stuck there. And then you can't get
Well,
out.
I feel like you're here until maybe you have to finish whatever you wanted to do.
And then
whether
when
it's
you
like-
do, it's good.
But I feel that like the whole like avenging, avenging ghosts or what's it called when they're like really mad, like the
Revenge?
like almost
Kind
like,
of?
like when they want revenge on the person that murdered them, so they try like killing the person. I feel that like they're forcing themselves to stay here forever, whereas like the smart way to do it is to try to get them like reveal themselves, like try to get them caught,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
So once they get caught, then you're like, alright, I'm good.
I'm good,
Yeah.
and then you can finally
Like,
rest in peace.
Another
R.I.P.
movie reference. I won't get too much into it.
So many movies
But,
in
like-
this episode.
But have you ever seen The Lovely Bones?
Maybe.
Okay. It's on Netflix. It's so good.
I'll go watch it
It's actually
tonight.
like so good. Jenny agrees with me. Have you
Jenny,
seen
do you agree?
Okay, Jenny agrees with me, but like, it's so good, and it's like, about this girl, and like, she dies and she goes to like this afterlife thing, and she can't go on to heaven until like her killer is caught or something,
Right.
or something like that. And then once I'm not gonna spoil it. Never mind.
But no, but that's the thing. It's like what happens
But
if
it's
the
really
killer?
good.
What's that happens if the killer never gets caught and the killer happens to die?
Well,
Do you stay here?
that could just mean that you're still like avenged of it, or like you're still, I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like if I ever became a spirit, because say Jenny murdered me,
Jenny.
Jenny, and I'm mad, so I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna try to like haunt her or something, right?
Yeah.
And then she happens to like live a long happy life, and then she happens to like accidentally get hit by a drunk driver, and then she ends up in the hospital, and they're like, you know what, we're just gonna give you a lot of morphine so she feels really nice, and then they just like pull her off life support so she doesn't feel anything. I feel that like that's unfair because she lived a long life and just happened to happily die, whereas she brutally, cut open my throat and then tried to decapitate me, but the machete was like really dull, so she's like whacking.
Okay. All right.
Jenny, are you ever gonna kill me?
Oh.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I'm gonna sleep with one eye open.
Okay. Well, that should probably do it for this episode.
I think that's a
we'll
great
get more
episode.
into it later, probably, but
Check out 5 Minute Podcast,
check it out.
Check
on
it out.
Instagram TV.
and then our new one, which is about more paranormal activity and ghosts.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Okay, all right.
Was that it?
That's it.
All right.
It's like if we
Okay,
find
hold on.
shower thought.
Kai, Roscoe.
So this is you just hit the tripod. You hit the tripod by the way, Devin.
Oh, there we go.
Hey Jenny, can you go check the tripod? So for those of you, we're gonna upload this part of the video onto Instagram as like a blooper.
See you.
But that's okay. So that's gonna be on Instagram. So go follow us on Instagram. Jenny, what's our Instagram?
I don't know.
You don't know this, Jenny? Jenny, we're gonna have to make you memorize it.
Why is
So
it
it's
falling?
That's a famous quote from Devin. Why is it falling? Another thing, today's a Friday again, and it's not that we've just been.
Hayden, why are you still talking?
This is going on Instagram as like a blooper. This is our blooper. Bloop bloop
My poor
bloop bloop
drink fell over.
blooper. Say hi, Devin.
Hi, Devin.
That's Jenny. Say hi, Jenny.
You're not supposed to sew Jenny.
You can't see her. It's falling again, Devin.
All
You
right,
knocked
guys.
it over again,
Get
Devin.
out.
Devin.
Get out of
Devin.
What?
You knocked it over again.
Dude! Stop falling.
That was you.
Why is it falling?